Hello and welcome to Moment of Truth on Labour Social. I'm Graham Hughes. Yesterday, the Supreme Court delivered its verdict on the so-called Rwanda resettlement plan. The plan was to dissuade people from making the dangerous journey over the channel in small boats by taking 1% of them and sending them to the Central African dictatorship of Rwanda. 200 people a year at a cost of £120 million so far, in return for that exact same number of refugees from the Democratic Republic of Congo. But here's the thing. Before 2017, there were no small boats carrying asylum seekers, not a single one, as an agreement allowed the UK to return those arriving by boat to France. However, this changed as a result of Brexit, and since 2018, over 100,000 people have arrived on small boats. Let me be very clear. People arriving on small boats is 100% on the Tories. The government have manipulated the situation from the start. They lit the fire and now are banging on about how outrageous it is that there's a fire and that the courts won't allow their demented plan of putting it out with a single cup of petrol. I can't stress this enough. If you're not from Hong Kong or Ukraine, the only legal route to claim asylum in this country is by setting foot on British soil. It's as simple as that. Refugees are under no obligation to remain in the first safe country they enter because it's cowardly, dangerous and wrong for countries that border war zones or whose neighbours are suffering under tyrannical rule to have to detain all refugees who would otherwise pass through their country on their way somewhere else. Forcing refugees to stay in the first safe country they got to would mean that some of the richest countries in the world, like the UK, Germany and France, would not have to take any refugees whatsoever, while developing nations like Papua New Guinea, Pakistan and Uganda are forced to shoulder an oversized burden. The government wants you to think that these people are coming here illegally. They are not. Seeking asylum is a right enshrined in Article 14 of the UN Declaration of Human Rights. Furthermore, many are coming over in small boats because that's pretty much the only way you can seek asylum in the UK. This whole thing has been set up to engage and enrage the Tory base, with women and children drowning in the channel being seen as collateral damage in the Tories' ongoing quest to remove human rights from all of us who weren't born with a silver spoon up our respective arses. The Supreme Court ruling was utterly damning. The government were hoping that it would be deemed illegal under European law, so they could go off on one about how we should pull out of the European Convention on Human Rights, like Russia. But here's the thing. The court unanimously declared that the Rwanda scheme was illegal under British, European, and international UN law. Put simply, if they want to send any refugees to Rwanda, we will not just have to change UK law, we'll not just have to pull out of the Council of Europe, like Russia, we'll also have to pull out of the United Nations, give up our permanent seat on the UN Security Council. Despite this, the government, led by the newly appointed Home Secretary James Cleverly, announced its intent to persist with the plan. This decision raises questions about the government's rationale, as continuing an illegal and proven to fail policy seems irrational at best and, to use James Cleverly's own words against him, batshit at worst. Cleverly actually claimed with a straight face that they were trying to help the poorest communities in Britain with their Rwanda scheme, which has already cost over £120 million. This is the same government that spent billions on ineffective PPE during the pandemic, billions on their now abandoned HS2 project, and cost the UK over £1 trillion, that's £1 million, in banking assets that were shifted to cities in the EU as a direct result of their beloved Brexit. It's worth also noting that the Rwanda plan was based on Australia's policy of sending boat arrivals to Nauru, a desolate island nation 2,000 miles northeast of Queensland, at an estimated cost of $22 million per refugee. In a time of economic crisis, when our economy has gone a staggering 16 years without any real growth, when millions of Brits are living hand to mouth, This is what the Tories want to spend your money on. Later in the day, Sunak popped up like an erection at a funeral, boldly stating that the Tories would use emergency legislation to salvage their Rwanda plan. They say they're going to pass a law unilaterally declaring Rwanda a safe country, even though the Supreme Court yesterday listed a staggering number of reasons why it's not safe, which is why Israel's similar scheme to send refugees to Rwanda was abandoned in 2018. Sunak then went on to say that if international law stood in the way, then we'll ignore the laws in question. Let me be very clear. The handful of shitty trade deals we have in place right now that are just about keeping Britain's economy from going full Venezuela rely on us following and being seen to follow international law, that we keep our promises, we take treaties seriously, and we don't alter or ignore deals unilaterally when it suits us. And here's the kicker. Under the Parliament Act 1911, as amended in 1949, the House of Lords can hold up a bill for an entire year, which it probably will. That means there's simply not going to be enough parliamentary time to get this legislation through both houses before the next general election, which the Tories are currently set to lose. So it's bollocks. Expensive, racist, dog whistle, bollocks. A stunt that will do nothing to stop the boats, nor improve the lives of anyone in this country who is really struggling right now. Don't fall for it. There is a simple and more cost-effective way of stopping the boats, and that's to rejoin the Dublin Agreement, crack down on the people smuggling gangs, and set up a system involving registration at a British embassy or high commission anywhere in the world that allows access to a website where genuine asylum seekers can begin their application process for refuge in the UK without having to set foot on British soil in order to do so. The focus should be on comprehensive, compassionate, and lawful solutions to address the challenges we face, rather than the very definition of madness, which is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Not that the Tories expect this will work, they're just playing their base, as they always do, like a cheap fiddle. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments below.